Okay, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We are live for our Shining the Light on our community, and I'm really excited and also really honoured, truly honoured, because with me today I've got the beautiful Sarah Willoughby, who's coming to share and chat about not just her book, but her whole journey, which is really inspirational, Sarah. So thank you ever so much for joining me. It is, like I said, I'm honoured.
Oh, bless you.
Truly honoured. So first of all, let me introduce a little bit about you, but then, like I said, I'd love to hear your story and your journey on it. So you are a transformational coach, a best-selling author, which we're going to talk about, a speaker, a Reiki practitioner, and an infertility coach, and you're passionate about empowering people to heal, love themselves, and achieve more and transform their lives from the inside out, which is so true. And that's just touched my heart. And there's so much more, Sarah. You know, you've got a publishing contract with Morgan James to publish a book, and such, like I said, such an inspirational story. So what I'd like to do is just to ask you, tell us a little bit about your journey and why you wrote your book and where you got to now, because this topic is something that can touch so many women, on how infertility saved your life. And a lot of people experience that, a lot of women experience that. So I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the beautiful introduction, and I'm very honoured to be here with you today. So thank you for having me. So my journey began I was working in the UK. I'm originally from the UK, and I had spent 6 years at uni. I'd worked my way up the corporate ladder. I'd done all the things, and I got there and I felt very disillusioned and very stuck, but I didn't know how to leave that life. And at the same time, I was going on this crazy journey through secondary infertility. So I already had a beautiful little boy, and I was trying to complete my family. And I didn't see any reason why it wouldn't happen. It had happened very quickly with my son. And all of a sudden, I was facing this very challenging journey that sort of took me through a lot of grief and loss and trauma. And my story really peaks when I was advised by doctors that my best chance of completing my family was to go through IVF. And I'd had a lot of issues with the medical care that I'd received in the UK. And naively, Sophia, I thought that I would try and make this IVF cycle and the dreaded 2-week wait into a bit of a holiday. So we went over to Norway. I knew and loved Norway. We'd spent some time there. The medical health system over there is fantastic. And I saw no reason why it would end up like it did. But to cut a long story short, my body didn't like the drugs, and I overstimulated and then hyperstimulated, which is very rare, but it happened to me. And I ended up facing my own mortality, really, and looking myself in the eyes thinking, where did this all go wrong? And realizing that if this was how it ended, I hadn't lived this life that I'd wanted to. I hadn't been authentic. I'd allowed fear to stop me from living my best life. There were things that I wanted to do, and I was going to leave this world with regret. And I promised myself, and I promised the universe, if you give me a second chance at life, if you get me through this, then I will spend the rest of my life walking towards my fears and really stepping up and empowering other people to do the same thing. And I'm proud to say that I've done that. And I've used the painful journey that I went on to be my purpose and to share my story with other people so that they understand that they're not alone. It is very, very common. Infertility and miscarriage, which is what I experienced, is very common, but we don't talk about it. There is so much silence and stigma and shame around that. And I want to change that because there is so much suffering behind closed doors. So that is why I wrote my book, my story. I share in the first part, so it's called Infertility Saved My Life, Healing PCOS from the Inside Out. And in the first part of that book, I share my story. It's very raw, very vulnerable. There's a lot of moments in there. And the second part is all the tools, techniques, insight, and wisdom that I learned along the way that enabled me to complete my family naturally. So that's the second part of the story.
Isn't that wonderful that you were able to have, to complete your family for what you wanted?
Yes.
And naturally, and you survived all the treatments and things, which, it's like I said, I've said it before, but it is very inspirational and very heart touching, because, what you go through on a medical level and facing your mortality at a very young age, and all the realizations that it gives. So I just want to thank you again. Really, really, really thank you. What are some of the things, would you like to share some of the things that you learned on your journey that may be able to help other women?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing was I learned the power of the present moment. So I'd thankfully been on this crazy journey through meditation. And I know that meditation saved my life. Without meditation, I wouldn't have got through the emotional, physical, mental, and spiritual torture that I went through. And just being in the now, because I realized I wasn't in control. And it was the first time, I'm, recovering control freak. And this was the first time that I'd realized that I wasn't in control or even in charge of this journey. I was in charge of how I responded to what I was facing, but I wasn't in control of anything. And so there was this deep trust and surrender that had to take place. And it was very confronting, but it was also really liberating. And I think for me, it felt quite empowering. It was like, I just let go. I just let go of my need to understand why it was happening. I just had to trust that it was happening for my highest good. And I have allowed that to sort of consistently flow through my life since then. There have been many, many moments of needing to surrender and trust and let go, particularly over the last 5 years. And without that experience, I don't think I would be, okay. I think I would have really lost the plot, to be quite honest. So I'm very grateful for that experience. I think it grounded me, and it allowed me to see life with fresh eyes and a new perspective, and to start focusing on the things that I did have, and gratitude, and being grateful for the beautiful boy that I had in my life, this beautiful 3-year-old boy that I'd watched walk out of the hospital doors with his grandma and say goodbye to, and didn't know whether I would see again. I needed to focus on him and what I did have rather than what I didn't have. So that was quite a big turning point for me.
Yeah, and it would have been. And things like that. Now, we do have, can I just let you know, we do have a few people, quite a few people watching us. So thank you for joining us. If you have any questions for Sarah, please put them in the comments. Let us know where you're calling in from. And as soon as we finish our conversation, we'll also be dropping Sarah's links in the comments, so you can connect with Sarah on a personal level, which I really recommend. Sarah's a beautiful soul. With a wonderful, like I said, I'm sorry, but you do give me spine tingles, Sarah, that you have a wonderful energy about you, even though we're on Zoom.
Oh, are you trying to make me cry?
No, it's just true. It's just the truth. So tell us more, Sarah, is there anything else that you would like to share, and about your book too? So first of all, where can people get your book?
People can get my book from all the main online global bookstores and retailers. So everywhere, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Target, Walmart, you name it, it's out there. It's accessible. If people want a signed author copy, they can hop onto my website, sarahwilloughby.com.au, and they can order a signed copy, and I can send that out to people. So I love doing that.
Yeah, which is good. And again, we will put those links in the comments and stuff. Tell us more, like you've done all your speaking, your podcasts and everything else, and how has this journey, your experience, empowered you to do what you're doing? Now, how have you been actually able to turn that around?
I think when you've got nothing left to lose, when you realize what's truly important in life, every single moment of fear just becomes not important anymore. and also flipping the script to, this is not about me. I need to get out of my own way. I've got a bigger purpose here. I've got a bigger message to share than any fear that's going to stop me from showing up for both myself and for other people. And my children are a massive motivator in that. I want to show them that when you really put your heart and mind and soul into something, that you can achieve anything. And if somebody had said to me, even just 3 or 4 years ago, this is where I'd be at, this is what I was doing, I would have laughed. I would have been like,
no way.
You've got the wrong person. And so I think when we just get out of our own way, we take one step, and that's all we need to do, is just take one step, and that step leads us to the next step and the next one. I liken it to when you're stood in fog and you're driving in fog and you can't see the way forward. And if you just stay where you are, you stagnate and you're stuck. But if you just slowly, gradually move forward, then the path starts to clear and reveal itself. So we don't need to know the whole journey. We can have the destination in mind, but we don't know, we don't need to know how to get there. We just have to take that next step and trust that the universe will co-create with us. And that's been my experience. And it's a beautiful experience, and it's exciting. And the things that I've sort of experienced and been through have been so much bigger and better than I would have imagined. So if I limited myself from a human perspective, I would be missing out on so much. So I think let's not get too attached to the outcome. Let's have an idea of where we want to be, but allow the universe to work out the rest.
Yeah. And it's so true. And I love it how you say, about co-creating your life with the universe. And when we have that awareness, then it really does work out. Everything does work out. And even when you're down to your lowest point, that the universe is still there for you.
Yes.
And stuff.
Yeah, I firmly believe that, even when you can't see it at the time. I liken it to a jigsaw puzzle where, the universe has the whole picture. Yeah. They can see the picture on the box, and we're just slowly putting those pieces in one after each other, and eventually we'll start to see how it's all coming together. And then we look back at it and we go, oh, it was a beautiful picture. May not have looked like how we imagined it in our mind, but it's a beautiful picture.
Yeah, I love that metaphor. I really love that. Thank you. I'll certainly be taking that from today and so many more. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about your journey and about your book that can help others and inspire other women just to, not to give up, that there is light, that the universe is there to help you?
Yeah, I'll just share, I guess, the sort of the real happy ending of my story. Yes. And so once I'd realized that I had nothing left to lose, I decided that I was going to emigrate with my ex-husband and my son over to Australia and begin a new life. So we came out here, we had no jobs, we didn't know anybody, we just threw everything up in the air. It was the middle of the recession in the UK, so we couldn't go back if it didn't work out. And just trusted. And I had moments of real fear of am I making the right decision, et cetera, et cetera. I was leaving behind my frozen embryos that I had in Norway. And I, at that point, had no way of bringing them across to Australia. But I just trusted that this was still the right path to take. And as we moved out here, I actually was pregnant with twins at the time that we were emigrating over. So I was thinking initially I was coming out as a family of 5. And unfortunately, I lost one of the twins and I lost the other one. And I'd also had another miscarriage the year before. So I really sort of let go of that picture that I had in my mind of what my family was going to look like. Mm-hmm. And within 6 weeks of moving to Australia, I actually fell pregnant naturally with my daughter. Mm-hmm. And she's now 12. And then 4 years later, I had my other beautiful little girl who's now 8. And if somebody had said to me that was how my life was going to unfold, I would have laughed and said, no way, there's just no way that that's going to happen, because I'd listened so much to the medical advice and world that I'd been given. So my other piece of advice is, your body, yourself better than anybody else. Keep coming back to your heart's inner wisdom. Mm-hmm. Trust that. Mm-hmm. and be guided by your own intuition, because it's your life and you have one opportunity to make it the best that it can be. And so live your life for you, not by the expectations that other people have of you and for you. I love that. I truly love that. And it's so true, especially with the medical world. So many people listen to the medical world and because they think that they know better.
But yet, if we listen to our body,
yes,
listen to the signals and symptoms that it's giving us, then, it will all work out.
yeah,
Our body knows what it needs. Our body knows what it also doesn't need. And things. And a lot of the times they're the symptoms, the dis-eases that we get because our body's getting something that it doesn't need, whatever it is, whether it's, whatever in life. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And if you could leave a legacy for our world, and especially for all the women, the young women that are growing up, all the young girls, what legacy would that be?
The legacy would be one of just going on that journey, that deep journey of self-discovery and self-love. And that's what my journey was. It wasn't a journey through infertility. It was actually a journey to self-love and healing. And so when we're really prepared to do the work, when we're prepared to sit in silence and get still and listen to our body's wisdom, listen to what's really truly going on in our heart, then that's when we can live our best life. That's when we can live the life that we came here to live. And we can, by doing that, we step into our own power and we can share so much more of ourselves. We can share our beautiful hearts, our kindness, our love, our compassion, and we can make this world a much better place.
Yeah. When we listen to our heart, we listen to that intuition, that all-knowing. Totally. Thank you. And what would you consider to be your superpower?
I think my superpower is my ability to hold space for other people and that pain. Yeah. And I've been doing that for such a long time, and just really, truly being able to see people on a soul level. So when I work with my clients, I connect with them on a soul level and on a heart level, and I see them how they truly are without the mask, without the walls up, without all the story, without the pain, without the baggage that we've sort of carried on our backs for so long. And I think being able to do that enables the people that I connect with and work with to be able to truly see themselves in a most beautiful way. And so when I work with a client and they can look themselves in the eyes and say, I love you, I really love you, and they can see themselves for the first time, it's the most beautiful and humbling experience.
Yeah, it would be. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I totally agree that your superpower is to be able to hold space for everyone. I've experienced that in the serving circle and everywhere else. So thank you for that. And one last question before we wrap up is there any other questions that you would have liked me to ask? Is there anything else that you would like to share with everyone who's watching live and the replay?
I think just to reach out to me if you are keen to go on that journey. If you're curious about developing your intuition, that was where it all started for me, and there is so much power in that journey. So reach out, let's have a chat, and understand where you're at and where you want to be, because you know yourself best, and I'm just the guide, just the channel for that process. But yeah, I'd love the opportunity to reach more women and to really help guide them back home to themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you ever so much, Sarah. It has been a real honor. It truly has been. And I'd love to connect with you more, especially when one thing I haven't asked is there book 2 at any stage in the future?
Ooh, there's book 2 and there's book 3. Yeah, I know what my second book is about. My second book is about grief. That was a big part of my journey, just the delayering of grief. So that will be my second book. And then I think there's a book in me around trying to bring together other people's stories and challenges and trying to showcase, how incredible everybody is. And I learned so much for the people that come and work with me. We're all students, we're all teachers, and people say to me, I've got an inspiring story. Some of the people that I work with, oh my goodness me, they humble me beyond words, what they've been through, what they've overcome, and how they show up in the world. it really, really grounds me, and it makes me really appreciative to have had that second chance and be able to witness their journeys.
Thank you. I look forward to more conversations about the second book and the third book, and any time in the future. And good luck with them. Really, really, really love to talk to you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love our connection, and thank you for creating this beautiful space that you do for women and empowering them to be who they truly are. So thank you.
Thank you.